Hey everyone, Callum from Cagefront here. Welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, welcome to the channel. We have our last top 5 2024 recap ranking video, which is the top 5 fights of 2024. Now, when it comes to this ranking, I do have to give a disclaimer. We're not having fights like Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway at UFC 300 because I want to be putting fights that were very competitive, entertaining back and forth fights. Whereas in that fight, yes, it was super entertaining, but Holloway pretty much dominated the entire fight. So I want to look at these fights that are competitive, that are entertaining, that are extremely back and forth, that are just seesaw fights that just kept you on the edge of your seat the whole entire time. And I have definitely got 5 of them here for you today, all in order, as well as an honorable mention that really deserved a shout. So let's get into it. And in at number 5, we have Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira and their main event, going 5 rounds, putting on a full MMA display. These guys, as well as other flyweight fights, I mean, look at Manel Kape and Bruno Silva that we've just had. These guys are showing why flyweight is the most underrated division in the whole entire sport. And it really was emphasized this year. It was definitely one of the best years for this division. And this fight was one of the best fights of the division. And obviously the year without a doubt. Extremely competitive 5-round fight, had all aspects of MMA involved at a very high level. Obviously you got Brandon Royval with the striking, and you got Tatsuro Taira with that high level grappling exchange that he had with Royval on the ground. Now Royval, I think he won rounds 1, 3 and 5. It was a very close first round, but the volume was on Royval's side, so I did edge it to him there. But looking at Taira and those ground transitions against Brandon Royval, rounds 2 and 4 definitely showed that this guy is going to be a guaranteed future champion. I mean, he had his first hiccup, his first loss, which is against literally a top 3 consistent flyweight in Brandon Royval, who has a shit ton of experience in comparison against that high level opposition. And looking at what he could even do with Royval in those 2 rounds, his transitions are some of the best in the world, without a doubt. He is fantastic with those transitions on the ground and just locking up and grapevining his opponents. Now, that's where he had Royval in a bit of trouble at the end of the second round when he was trying to sink in a rear naked choke. But aside from that, looking at Royval, being the veteran he was, mixing up his game when it came to the feet, constant stance switching, the boxing combinations were really flustering Taira on the feet. And you have to respect Taira's chin in that regard, because Royval, going through those later rounds, was getting very, very confident. His hand speed was picking up. He was finding the shots. He was getting his reads very, very well. And Royval almost did have him out of there in round 3 as well. So looking at Taira, first loss of his career, which will be a big indicator to see how he bounces back. But the stock for both of these guys through this fight is just shooting through the roof. Without a doubt, just a full MMA display from the both of them. A fantastic fight. If you have not seen it, definitely check it out. Now on to number 4, our first title fight. Got to give it to Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Now, seeing how close Alexander Volkanovski was to beating Islam in their first fight, and then seeing how well Poirier performed in comparison, taking Islam Makhachev to deep waters, and if it kept going, there was an argument for him to win that fight, just like Volkanovski in that first fight. So it's showing that Dustin Poirier, just like a prime Volk, seriously still has it in him, and still has it in him now, because he had a very good year overall. He had Benoit Saint Denis, destroyed him, and then had this fantastic performance against Islam. Even though he did lose, he had that dog in him. But Islam was seriously proving why he is the pound for pound number 1. Just careful if Dana White's around, in case, you know, the John Jones hype keeps coming in. But looking at him taking out Dustin Poirier with a 3rd straight title fight submission loss, which is frustrating for Dustin Poirier, but he has showed an amazing evolution in his kickboxing over the last couple of fights, and that is just really showcasing how well-rounded Islam Makhachev is, and they had each other in some crazy exchanges. I mean, Islam with the fight IQ timing Dustin Poirier's ticks when he was pulling his shorts up and flicking his hair across. When he was doing that, he was timing the takedowns and was able to get Dustin Poirier down at times. And then also at other times, Poirier was able to stuff the takedowns and land really nice shots in that dirty boxing range where he is the most dangerous. But sinking in that Dast choke in the 5th round from Islam, showing that championship medal, and you just can't not think that this guy is at least the second or the best number 1 pound for pound in the world. Now, moving on to 3rd place, I've got to go with one of the most underrated fights of the year, in my opinion. It's Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez in the Sphere, UFC 306. It's honestly, if you have not seen this fight, please go watch it. It's extremely competitive back and forth fight, which kicked the whole entire Sphere card completely into gear, and that is thanks to the durability and heart of Chairez and the beautiful boxing from Joshua Van. They had each other in all sorts of trouble. Obviously, Chairez was landing very hard, strong combinations to kick off. He hurt Josh Van pretty early, and this is a Josh Van needing to redeem himself after getting destroyed by Charles Johnson with an uppercut. And leading into this fight, he was in trouble at the start, but Josh Van coming through that first to that 2nd round, he was annihilating Chairez's body with that lead left hook to the body right into that liver. It was perfect. And then there was insane moments from Chairez. I mean, as soon as Van was just piling up and paying dividends with those body shots and he was crumpling him, he got pushed up against the fence and Van was really getting into those exchanges, and then Chairez just whips out a spinning back fist, almost cleans Joshua Van up completely. Then Joshua Van has to go into the grappling exchanges, which we never really seen him in before, so he's showing more diversity in his game. There is just so much that happened in this fight that was so fantastic, and it really did that UFC 306 card some real justice for the amount of money that they had to pay to go and bloody see that thing. So this fight, if you have not seen it, you'll probably understand why it's on my list. It was a great back and forth fight, and Joshua Van, going through it, 29-28, he deserved the win in this one. And in 2nd place, we can't go without Alex Poatan Pereira. Now, who is it? Is it going to be Jamal Hill? Is it going to be Yuri Prohaska? It's going to be him versus Khalil Rountree. Look, he had a fantastic year, but this fight was really what pushed him through and pushed Khalil Rountree through as well, because they had one of the most entertaining fights of the year without a doubt. I mean, Alex Pereira showing that he can dig deep into championship rounds without lacking any pace, and then also simultaneously systematically breaking down and finishing Rountree, having beautiful shots to the body, applying very good pressure, timing his shots, and just crumpling him in that 4th round. But Khalil Rountree himself was a huge reason as to why this was such an entertaining fight. It was not Alex Pereira that just carried this. Khalil Rountree deserves some damn flowers for this fight, because this is ranked so high, honestly, because of his heart. That performance, the heart that he had going against Pereira, who looked massive in comparison to him. They look like 2 different weight classes completely. But in the 1st to the 2nd round, Khalil Rountree was hitting him with some nice shots. If he just had a little bit more reach, there could have been some real danger for Pereira. But even going through those rounds to the 2nd and 3rd, he hit Pereira with some nice shots. He had Pereira backing away. He pushed Pereira all the way through to championship rounds, which the only person that's been able to do that is Adesanya in their first fight. And aside from that, Khalil's the only one that's been able to do it, and that's a serious credit to the striking level of Khalil Rountree, comparing himself to Adesanya with the pedigree of striking that he has. So this fight was just incredible with that back and forth, with the heart from both of them. Obviously, seeing Pereira just excel to a new level through this fight. He's always been fantastic, but this is just showing so much more depth and danger to his game, even at 37 to 38 years old. He is looking incredible, but gotta give those flowers to Khalil Rountree for getting this on this list without a doubt. Now, moving on to the honorable mention, I gotta give some praise to the very fast-paced, competitive fight that was Mateusz Rebecki versus Myktybek Orolbai. There was blood everywhere, swollen faces on both sides. The foot was never off the bloody pedal the entire time these guys were fighting, and it was a very good competitive underdog win for Rebecki, but man, it was very tight. Obviously, Orolbai was doing very good through the first round, but Myktybek was struggling through when it came to that gas tank from Rebecki's just clean pressure and just his striking accuracy when it came to those dirty boxing exchanges, which he does so well because he has such a short reach for that division. But man, he really made it count. And Orolbai was a guy coming through with a lot of momentum. Rebecki is a guy that literally just got taken out by Pereira in his last fight, so he had something to prove, just like Joshua Van against Edgar Chairez, and he seriously put on a performance in this one to get it done. But that's not taking away from Myktybek Orolbai as well. These guys just showed so much grit, so much heart, so much back and forth, and it was such a competitive, underrated fight. Now, in at number one, if we are looking at the competitive, the crazy, the seesaw, back and forth, entertaining fights, Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics at UFC 306 at the Sphere is the most insane back and forth fight of the year, hands down. On one of the biggest stages that really pushed the stock of the Sphere as well and made it so memorable, along with the Josh Van and Chairez fight. But this was on a whole nother level. This just showed Mexican heart, South American heart. The chins of both of these guys were just on display to let the full extent, and there was just so much volume everywhere. I mean, Zellhuber through the early doors, first round, he was landing very good shots, obviously being that natural, concise kind of kickboxer-based fighter. He was landing very good shots straight down the pipe. But Esteban Ribovics, oh my goodness, this guy as an underdog as well, coming through with the win. He was throwing very mean hooks, just really making the fight dirty, cutting off Zellhuber's range. And the exchange that they had, where Zellhuber was on skates, which felt like about 2 hours. He was wobbled completely. He still stayed in it. Even Ribovics got dropped and hurt at a point as well. They were just trading the entire time. They were on the bloody pedal. The gas tank was just going the entirety of the fight. That easily could have been the main event, without a doubt. It was absolutely incredible. And being a back and forth competitive based fight with a South American Argentinian against a Mexican, this is just spelling out the most entertaining fight of 2024. I hope you enjoyed this ranking recap video, and if you want to see more MMA based content, definitely check out the video that's just on the screen, and please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.